All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the stream. You've just got me, Tom, here for today's webinar, unfortunately, or live YouTube session. Unfortunately, Tyrone is not able to make it tonight. And no, before you ask, it's not because of the earthquakes here in Melbourne. That is not the reason, guys. But there's plenty to talk about. We're obviously going to be doing our normal live show where we talk about all of the different markets. We're going to go through the currency markets to begin with, talk about the dollar index, into some commodities, then into the indices, then into some stocks. Obviously, take questions from the community out there. I want to remind everyone that, of course, this is not a financial advice stream. This is an education only. Really basic. We're going through the TA. We're talking about the key levels. That's what we're doing. How is everyone today? You all having a good time? Hopefully no one else in Melbourne got their house too rattled. I can say that my house was shaken. It was shaken, guys. For anyone that doesn't know, I think we had a close to 6 maybe earthquake here in Melbourne, which I have never felt. I've got to say, I've never been in an earthquake situation. And that was the biggest one we've ever had. And 6 is not, or 5.8 or whatever it is not huge. As we know with Richter scales, it's those big ones, those 7s and stuff that are nuts. But anyway, that is what it is. All right, let's talk about this dollar index. Let's get into the technical analysis here and the levels that we like to look at. So first off, we've got the dollar index here. And when we take a look at this dollar index, you can see it's got basically 2 rejections both sides. And if we change this to a 2-day, what's that going to look like? We all know long leg doji, indecision candle at this peak up here. So it's been very strong for the dollar. Then if we look at the 2-day, there's a clear resistance, 93.50. You clear that. Oh yeah, it's on. I would be very bullish against that close over the next week. We know it's been a high. We know it's where the body close is. We know it's where a big key level. And even here on the 2-day, not that we should be using 2-day 200s, but we have a very clear zone for us to be looking at. So 93.50. We're looking for a closure above that. Remember, a long leg doji stopped us last time. So will a long leg doji stop us again? We should soon find out. If we scroll into the smaller time frames, 4 hour, etc., it's really not giving us much information about where the dollar wants to go. So when we go over to the euro as well, and we take a look at the daily, what do we expect? It's going to be a mirror. It's going to be a mirror. A long leg doji again on the 2-day. The support, the resistance. Now, where things get a little bit more interesting in the currency world is when we start looking at things like the pound, because I don't know, did anyone get a pound short last week? I would hope a few people got this one through. I would hope a few people were able to recognize this, able to recognize the short opportunity and specifically take that daily down. Did anyone get this one? Anyone get the pound short? Let's find out. Could you please look at gold? Good to trade. We'll definitely look at gold. Absolutely, yes. Absolutely. Has anyone else looked at the Evergrande scenario and how it might be tied to Tether via commercial paper? That is not something that I have even considered, but that'll be interesting. 5.8, 5.9. There you go. People, none of us know what it is. We're just going to call it 6. We're going to call it 6. Look, pound, certainly a good short down to these levels, and it's still weaker. The reason I want to bring this chart up is you can clearly see that little bit of extra weakness there. And when I go to my euro and I see that kind of not knowing what it wants to do, and then I go to my pound and I think it's already on a new low in terms of this session, it always makes me gravitate towards the euro pound and to start to think, well, do we have a trade potentially in the euro pound? We have a rejection. We have a closure that should be occurring above 86, pending it actually closes above. What a great level, guys. I mean, this is a very key zone. We haven't closed above here for some time. Over here was the last point, and we've got that 86.50. So and that's where the daily 200 is. So there's a real case to be made here that the euro is going to be stronger than the pound. If we get these closure events occurring, we've got that small amount of consolidation underneath. Hey, we love that type of stuff. It's absolutely excellent. That's the type of thing we look for in Forex trading and in currency trading in general and any type of trading. Bit of consolidation, breakout above. I could see a lot of people looking at this zone, a lot of people looking at retests. 86.50 seems like a decent area. We'll keep going through and we'll have a look at some other ones. For anyone that was looking at this US dollar Swiss. Firstly, I hate the Swiss pairs, so I don't usually trade the Swiss franc that much because it tends to trade not that great, I feel, technically. However, it went above, it came back down like a falling knife, and we didn't get that change of trend after that resistance. It's a good level to be watching, so I think you're still potentially even in that range right now. Remember, we're at the low of this, but overall, you needed to see that change of trend to take that conservative entry. It didn't happen there on the US dollar Swiss. I had a few people message me about this one. That's the way I look at it. We keep going through a couple of currencies here. Euro New Zealand is another one that I've been watching, and I don't mind. If we go to the 8 hour, actually the 8 hour is probably the time frame. There we go. So what do we have here? Well, we have resistance, 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 a whole bunch of crazy, up, down all around. That's why you need those bigger stops. This is not a very good scalp style currency. Remember, if you're going to scalp, you're going to want to be looking at things like odd US dollar, euro US dollar, pound US dollar. You don't want to necessarily scalp euro New Zealand. Number one, the ping is the actual pips and the spread is usually too large. And this is more of one of those probably more swing trading style. I don't even know if I day trade this type of currency. I would probably just look to swing it. It's formed a bit of a base. It's at the roll reversal zone. You can clearly see it's had two resistance sell-offs from here as well. So we get that closure above. Could be one of those ones that you snake up, put stop losses behind these last swings and look for the long. The base certainly is there, and you can see it on all time frames. Daily, big rejection. Things are looking strong here on the Euro New Zealand. Spread too large, says Dane. Exactly. Spread too large. You cannot do Euro New Zealand like that. I remember when Euro New Zealand on Monday used to get you about 40 spread. It was massive. All right, let's read a couple of these comments here. Donkin Dave says, Tom, if you like fishing, then go check out Richard Jean, the fishing machine on YouTube. Best fisherman I've ever seen, and he is very entertaining. Never heard of him, so maybe. I usually watch the Australian random guys that fish off rocks and stuff, but yeah, I'll check it out. Ray Lim, FOMC meeting tonight. Absolutely. And Hannah said, lucky nothing happened to you, Tom. Appreciate it, Hannah. No, we're all good. We're all good. No one, I don't think anyone was hurt, but look, I don't even read the normal news, guys. Usually what happens is I stick to the financial news. I ignore everything. I didn't even know we had protests until someone messaged me and said, you okay? I'm like, I didn't even know what you're talking about. Because it's not interesting to me. It's not interesting to me. We got to focus on the game, and the game is obviously the markets. So yes, I do like this Euro New Zealand. I'll certainly be looking for turnarounds at this point and keep watching it. Let's go through a couple other currencies. US dollar yen, not much to really note here. These are the levels we've always had. I think with currencies, a lot of them are probably awaiting the FOMC. Let's go into some commodities. So gold, quite a few people looking at gold. And if you did end up trading the gold into this zone, I think that was okay. I think that taking some trades through here on the smaller time frames with stops underneath that swing there with that big bullishness up to here is quite a solid position. And I've seen a few people send this in to me, including a few people who've got mentoring. Shout out to you guys because I know a few of you were entering off this position, and I don't blame you at all. I think it's a very solid move. We've got that resistance, long leg doji, bull, rejection, which we know is there to trap short sellers in. It then closes arguably just around above that. So that's good enough to definitely scale in. Then you've got other scales, you've got stop losses, and of course you're looking for your eventual goal, which is up here at the previous roll reversal. So very nice one-to-one style trading, and even better than that once you start getting your scale in. I quite like this trade up until this level. Now for gold, it becomes a game of the FOMC. And I don't know if I would trade this into the FOMC. I'd probably be out. I would be nimble and quick, and I'd be waiting for the FOMC, because why is gold at previous supports? Why is it right there now becoming resistance? And it's purely because we have an FOMC meeting today. Obviously, the press conference is coming out. This statement is going to move it either down or up in a big way. It's not really a day I would trade commodities. I would trade currencies so much. I would wait for the news to come out and I would take the participation phase. Not that initial shock. Wait for the direction, wait for the key signals that you can get in, and there's going to be plenty left on the table if it is one of those big moves. Kunal says the pre-market is so green. Yeah. Does that mean that does the earthquake mean lockdown is extended? Possibly, yes. How about odd US dollar? Yeah, we'll take a look at odd US dollar, but gold overall right at that resistance. Let's take a look at silver here. So silver, another one that is not as high. So silver still remains weaker than gold. See, silver should be at 23 by now. Previous supports should be acting as resistance. I don't think it should be here. I feel like it should be at 23. So silver still weaker. I think gold is the better technical trade right now. And when silver gets and regains its strength, that will be the one I look at. Let's take a quick gander at the odd US dollar. Odd US dollar has found its base on the previous support that we talked about. We know that this was a very good closure point across that 72, maybe 72.20 zone. It's bounced and it has absolutely no idea, again, what it wants to do ahead of the FOMC. And you can clearly see it doesn't matter what time frame you're looking at, whether it be the 8-hour, whether it be the 4-hour long leg doji, whether it be the 2-hour. Look at that, just completely waiting for more information. I would say that's neutralized. I know the trend is down. You could easily draw a few different things that I've got on my charts, like downward trend lines, etc. Valid downward trend lines. And that's actually what I'm looking at mostly here. Look at this odd downward trend line. It actually goes all the way through to the peaks. So if you get that drawn, there we go. See how good that downward trend line's been? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, I will ask the community, the private community tonight, and obviously a few other extra people that are here right now. Remember to subscribe, guys, to our second channel. I'm going to ask you a question, and that question is, what happens if we break this trend line to the upside? What are you going to be doing? So you break this trend line to the upside, and let's say a scenario. The scenario is like this. What would you be looking at doing? We haven't covered oil yet, Mohammed. No. What would we look to do? Justin Godfrey says double bottom if it breaks above. Yes. And what is this first part of? This would be what we call a recovery. And when you can clearly see a massive trend that has changed, we've detailed this on the US dollar yen before. We've detailed this on stocks before. It's one of our classic style trades that we love. It is the change or the first stage of recovery. So we have a low again. We usually place some kind of double bottom around that. So we usually go up to the resistance, come back, test, and then look. We have serious scalability towards the long. And that's what the odd reminds me of right now. Of course, we're in a downtrend. We've got that mass downtrend, like continuous rallies being smashed, and it's no different right now. And when you recognize that, and when eventually it does break against it, you better be prepared to pay attention. Let me show you. If you don't know, let me just find, where are we here? There it is. Let me show you what happens when these types of trends get reversed. So here's a classic one. Look at this one from the yen, goes through. We've talked about it before. Series of rejections. Then all of a sudden, we actually get that beautiful flag. It breaks above and begins an epic uptrend. This is a serious change of trend. If it's a stock, if it's a commodity, I don't care what it is, even if it's soft commodities like wheat, this is a massive bull signal from the ability of you recognizing it and knowing that once you start getting those series of high peaks and higher troughs after the break of these trend lines down, you can start rewarding the trade by scaling into the positions. And when you scale, these are the ones that you can leave on. So what I mean by that is you can leave a portion on because you've recognized such a key change of trend. And when you start leaving a little portion on, you can, of course, make that life-changing, well, not life-changing, but that account-changing style of trade. This is where you can get a little bit more bullish because you're seeing something that's a bit different. It's not the normal, oh, yes, we're trapped in a range. We're looking for the next resistance or support. Absolutely. Ismo says, buy, 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 buy. Yeah. More like scale in. Exactly, Mohammed. Exactly. More like scale in. Disney went down hard and hit support. Yeah, we'll take a look at that a little bit later. We will take a look at that. And of course, Bitcoin, we'll do the crypto a little bit later as well. Thank you very much to the 90 people joining us. If you can help us out on this second channel, please smash that like button. It does help us out, guys. It gets the algorithm going on. And the algorithm's been mean to me recently. So you've got to make sure you pump those likes up, because I can tell you right now, we're not in the favor of the YouTube algorithm. It's not giving me favor right now. And that makes me a little sad. Because you know, you don't change the content, but necessarily they will not push you if they're not in your favor. When you guys start YouTubes yourself, you'll see. I feel like it kind of rotates around. It's like, okay, we're done with you right now. And then about 3 months later, it's like, oh, you're still making content. Okay, well, we'll reward you with 2 weeks of boosting. And then it goes back again. Let's go to some of the indices. Well, firstly, we've got to do US oil, I believe. So let's take a look at US oil. US oil has been pretty good trading this year. Okay, so this is a pretty decent closure that we've had above the last kind of peaks. We've then come back down and retested that previous resistance, which we knew should be a very key zone. It certainly was. 69.50 remains my key support there. And it's got a long leg doji on it, which if it does bullish close above, makes me think we're going back to crack these highs, and I'd actually be going towards 74. And if it cracks 74, I'd be going towards 77. And if it cracks 77, well, it's pretty serious business. We'll have to talk about it then. But yes, I do like this. I think overall pretty nice. Let's go down the smaller time frames. 4 hour, great rejection, closed above all these points. Let's go take a look at a 2 hour. Again, fantastic so far. Good structural zones. And you know what I love about this is that you've got a rejection candle, a rejection candle. What happens if we close above this, guys? We take out the nasty stop losses. We take out the stop losses for all those shorters, and we can really push towards right there, which is around the price of 72.80. So that would be fantastic if we push that level. Look at that. Fantastic. Thank you as well to the almost 90 people that we've got joining us here. So yeah, I quite like this one. What for, D&J? Target the high for this or the other one? I do like this base though. And I think once you close past that 71, 70, whatever it is, 80 area, you're really starting to look for further ramping. It looks good. It looks good. All right, let's move over to the indices, and then we'll get into the crypto, and then we'll get into specific stocks. Let's have a look at the US 500 to begin with. So here's the futures market. And you look at this and you think, I want the community to I'm not going to put it there, okay? What level are you looking for to get you seriously taking purchases? So buys. So right now you might be buying investments. Fair enough. You're getting a bit of a dip. That's not the worst idea in the world. And what level are you looking at a serious buy here in terms of TA? Let me know, chat. Graham Newlands wants the DAX. We'll take a look at that for you, Graham, very soon. Only thing about Mountain Fortress says only thing about oil is OPEC and Saudi or Iran adding lots of barrels. Biden was complaining when when price was 64. Look, OPEC is always the manipulation. That's why I don't hold barrels. I don't particularly have any interest in trading for a longer period of time in oil because yes, the manipulation is real from OPEC. I'm not a fan of getting into those kind of markets for a long period, but it can be traded and it can be effectively traded. Hey, Musti, good to have you here. And Monica and Dab G and everybody. Did you see pound US dollar? Yeah, we talked about pound US dollar. Has it changed since we talked about it? Not really, just weakening still. and the daily went down. And I've obviously liked the short there since last week. So I think that's been very, very good. Back over to the US 500 though. 44.25, 4100. I go all in, says Kunal. And Ismo probably has it, I think. And so does PK Subban, and so does Graham. Everybody, and Ray, and whoever I missed. Yes, you are correct. 4400 is the key zone. Fantastic level, guys, for you to be looking at, because at that point, what are we doing? We've got a trough, we've got a peak, we've got a high trough, we've got a higher peak. It is a very key zone. It's well worth watching on the markets. It's a key psychological area. And I believe it's kind of like the fight right now between the Bulls and the Bears. Look, realistically, 0.64% is weaker than I thought the market would be. I thought it would actually be strengthening based on this whole Evergrande situation sort out. It shows there is still trepidation and weakness in this market. Take a look at the SPY. We were right yesterday coming into the market. We made the kind of position that this resistance was going to hold up. It did hold up, and it ended up getting to the gap. And I think that trade was okay in itself. Someone here probably took the gap trade. Fair enough. Now we have a glaring gap here, which eventually will fill. We all know the chances of this filling over time, whether it be this week, next week, 2 months' time, of course, it's going to fill. And then people will be able to be like, see, I told you the gap filled. Very smart of you to think such a thing. However, the way I look at it is at the moment we've got trough, peak, higher trough. This is the SPY, by the way. If we get that higher peak, we move towards gap fill. And I feel like that is a fairly likely scenario, and above that 4,400 on the real market. So again, I'll show you the SPX so you can see the gap again. There it is. There's that 4,400. There's that 4,430, kind of 4,440 zone. There's a really nice trade to be had somewhere between here, I feel. Trough, peak, higher trough, higher peak. Take that position in there on the smaller time frames. And obviously 44.90 will be the next big resistance if it gets through that level. So you've got very clear zones. If we were drawing all the clear zones up, we've got clear zone here. We've got a clear zone at the peak, 44.90. We've got a clear resistance, which is that 4,400. And then we've got a very clear kind of low, which is going to be around here. And we get underneath this, we go back to test the lows, 4,300. We know there's tons and tons and tons of puts sitting there this week. So even if the FOMC scares the market, I'm not sure if it can get underneath this zone very easily. Why? We'll just quickly look at the calls and options expiring for the week. There's all the calls. I would be surprised again if Wall Street wants to pay these calls off. So many calls at 450. And there's the puts, 430. In an ideal world, Wall Street would manage to hold the price between here and here all week. Because if there's that many calls on the SPY, there's probably a ton of calls on Apple, on different stocks, and huge amounts of retail buy the dip scenario. It's fine for Wall Street literally to just sit here and hover in a zone for a while, because they're making tons of money off pure speculation that we're going to have a V-shaped reversal. Every time we've had a V-shaped reversal, the market's come down, it's gone like this. The market's come down, it's gone like this. We've become conditioned to that idea. So I believe it's going to stay somewhere in here. It makes some sense to me. It may not. Of course, that's just a guess. At the end of the day, we just follow the price action. If the price action is breaking up, we're taking that distance. If the price action is breaking down, we're taking that distance. This just gives us a bit of a guide of outlier points so that we're not stupefied into thinking the wrong thing too much. Musty says, I never bought options, shares only. If it goes wrong, I can sit on them forever till the price returns, lol. That's true, Musty. You're buying stock that you maybe like, but that's another thing that you can do with an option. See, Musty, I think you need to do our newly released plug options trading masterclass, sir. Because if you do this, you will learn that you could actually trade an option like a buy limit. As Tyrone says, actually selling a put on a stock that you want to hold anyway is like putting a buy limit in there, but you get paid to put the buy limit down. So if you're interested in that, guys, I do remember Options Trading Masterclass is now available. You can check it out on fxevolution.com. Thank you for the segue there, Musty. Also, I think there's 1 or 2 slots left for the private mentoring for October. If you're interested, check that out as well. There's only 1 or 2 slots. Might be 1, might be 2. I can't remember. But if you are interested, get in because it's going to be a good program. I can tell you that. Which says, I need your course, bro. You certainly do, sir. You certainly do. You're going to like it. Dav G says, hi, Tom. Keen for your views on CSR on the ASX. I was in it about a week ago. Stop, not hit, still in it. Okay, we'll check it out. Apple, one of the stocks we'll watch. I think the community, the private community should watch this stock incredibly closely, see how it deals with these zones. Of course, resistance here at the, what is this? This 145 area. We've got resistance. And if we get underneath 141 and the rest of the market isn't falling, I believe Apple will show us the way here. And I would love to pick this up around that 135. 135 would be pretty sweet for Apple. What would that discount be? 14%. That would be a fantastic discount. I would be happy with that. And we've got our long trend line. If you're wondering if the Nasdaq's any different to our analysis so far on the S&P 500 before we go into the crypto and then stocks, no, it's completely the same. Now, if you're looking at the futures, you would be looking at this thinking, oh, that looks like a really negative candle. I should short. And this is why I think it pays to actually use NDX whenever possible, or the QQQ. Totally different scenario when you just look at the real market here. Where's our resistance? Right here. If it closes above this resistance, where do we expect it to go? Fill the gap. It's as simple as that. We've got the smaller time frame change of trend. Now, if we manage to continue shorting this level, then what we're doing is just looking for a low of yesterday's low down here. So once that low gets hit, where do we go? I believe we go back to test 14.8. And if we get underneath 14.8 on the S&P, the Nasdaq, if we get underneath that level, oh, it really could be on. Next stop, 14.5. And the next stop after that, 14,000. Do I think we go underneath that level? Highly, highly unlikely. So we'll explain why. Let's get this through. Look at this. Do you know how excited I will be at 14,000 if that happens? Look at this. Bottom trend line. Look. 1, 2, 3, 4. Resistance, resistance, support. Whoa. Amazing. And we can even get the nice little percentage out as 10%. It's perfect. I like that. Do you like that, guys? Fantastic. Fantastic. Look at this. Oh, it's so beautiful. The top range. Look at it. Oh my goodness. I'll be so happy if that happens, because you know what makes me even happier about it? Because if it bounced off this and it got down, not only will we be big brain here, but on top of that, if we go back up to the top end of this, it's so beautiful. Imagine if it traded like this for a little while. Predictability plus. We could use options. We could do everything. Dane's asking, what did I do to Ty? I did nothing, man. He'll be back soon. He's unfortunately had to be out tonight. Oh, yeah. I actually get very excited about that chart. But if you're looking for the key levels, all the levels I believe you need to know are 14.5 flat, 14.8 flat around that level. And of course, 14.50 or wherever this trend line gets hit. Let's take a look at the weekly. What will that probably put us into? Somewhere around that 50 exponential. We know the Nasdaq has a tendency to not hit the 50 like the S&P does. So if the bigger pullback does occur, which is statistically unlikely, actually, based on our analysis of strong markets and how far they pull back. But if it did, yeah, I think you got to pay a lot of attention there. Lots and lots and lots of stuff. Please remember, today is FOMC day. So if you aren't aware, you have quite a lot of information coming out. FOMC economic projections, statement, and of course the press conference at 2:30. So that's 2 p.m. ET. So that's New York time, and then 2:30 p.m. And then on the big Friday, we have Fed Chair Powell coming out to speak. So lots of information coming out here. And I want to make that perfectly clear, because I think when you're looking at these current markets, you've got to be aware this news is coming. You got to be nimble and quick. And if you're picking your key investment levels, I mean, this made sense. We talked about it before. This makes some sense, and this makes a good sense as well. These are all great levels. So some people, what they do is they scale in. They take a portion here, they take a portion here. They might skip that portion and they take a portion here. Better to wait and have patience. Yeah, patience is key to a lot of these trades. That's right, Dane. Let's have a look at the US 30. Is the Dow telling us anything in particular? Not really. I think the Dow didn't get as low as I would have expected it to. Around that 33 is the real low you're looking at here. IWM's doing whatever it can. Resistance at 220 there for IWM. And let's have a look at the crypto market. So the crypto market is really tough to read on the smaller time frame. The bigger time frames. You really got to go in and dial in here. You have the resistances. Some people would have thought it stopped here. I thought that was a key zone. It might have tried to bounce off. It didn't. It's come down to the 42K, 41K, even was it low as 40K on Bitcoin? Yeah, 40K on Bitcoin. It's mostly just been shorting. There's been no significant turnaround yet. So let's have a look at the price action on the 4-hour. We know where our base is forming. So we've got a low. We've got another low that's even lower. At this stage, it's hard for us to take longs in this kind of market unless we're just taking investment longs. If you're taking a trade long, I don't think that's a market that looks like it's going up just yet. We need that full reversal, get through this 44 again, and then we can put in the work towards participation. Remember, with crypto, it's all about finding the turnaround story. And usually what will happen is you will get some kind of turnaround story, and you may not get the lowest low, like down here, but you can end up getting much better trend trades than this. There's no lightning bolts here. It's all failure. ADA Cardano holding $2 better than the others. But again, Cardano's got big issues here at this $2.20. Once that closes above, puts a nice base in, it's a great trade. Take it long, go for 230, scale some off, go for 260, take the rest off, or hodl it up. Great base. Certainly another level I'll be looking at. Donkin Dave says, if you're looking at crypto, then please look at Riot and Mara. They follow Bitcoin. But again, why would we? I don't really see the point of looking at these types of things if we always know they're following Bitcoin. It's like saying, should we look at a gold stock, or should we just go look at gold spot and then trade the gold stock accordingly if it has good financials? This TA will not hold up because really it's just a mirror image of Bitcoin to a degree. So yes, I wouldn't pay too much attention to that, just in my opinion. Yeah, thank you very much, Dave. Appreciate that. Okay, keep going. All these cryptos still look relatively sick. They need the lightning bolts. Current market is 0.72 on the Dow, 0.51 on the US 100, and 0.71 on the US 500. 4,400 is the key turning point here for the S&P. So that'll be something we're looking at. Let's take some community information. Let's see what you guys are thinking. I will bring up a stock I actually just looked at before, which is Snap. Take a look at this. So earnings is coming up in 35 days. Check out the base Snap's had. It's really been incredibly aggressive. Yesterday it did 6% in a day. It's held this 69, 80, 70 zone very well. Previous resistance, gapped up on the news, consolidated. Will this be a buy the rumor, sell the fact kind of thing going into earnings? It's certainly looking like it wants to crack a new high. Take a look at this on the daily. It's like almost just coiling, getting ready for it. And then we go to the weekly and you'll see what I mean. Look at that rejection last week. Boom, gets gapped underneath. It's clearly got some buyers there. Go back to the daily again. Little bit of increased volume last couple of days. Probably expected with the volatility. What do you think about Snap? I'm not sure I want to hold the stock, but what do you think about Snap? Is this something that's getting ready for a bit of a breakout? That's correct, Donkin Dave. I would just so if you're just trading Mara and Riot instead of having Bitcoin, all I'm saying is look at Bitcoin price, and if Bitcoin's breaking through a key resistance or a key support, trade Mara and Riot accordingly. Because you're right, it's like trading gold. If you don't want to trade gold spot, you look at the gold chart. If you believe gold's up for I don't know $100 an ounce, then you will just go trade the stock instead. And as gold moves up that $100 an ounce, you'll do a lot better. JT Raj says, Tom, your favorite stocks, Uber and LCID, are doing pretty good this week. Let's have a look at the market TA. Yeah, okay. I mean, look, Uber's been an absolute rat for a long time. So I know it rallied off its robotic thing. This has just got the interest of retailers, I would say. I'm convinced it's like a pumpy dumpy. You know, it's running off news. If you want to do a news trade, then you can do it. It's not really TA, guys. Everyone's getting involved in these news trade styles. Like if you're going to trade news, the way I look at it is you find your key resistances, such as let's say $48, and you're realistic about what it is, which is a pump and most likely a dump. And you hope everyone gets on board and you hope everyone gets crazy and stock twits goes nuts and Wall Street bets goes nuts and everyone gets excited. It's not really a technical trade. It's just you're using technical analysis to figure out your profit zones and scaling out. All you're really doing, in my opinion, is trading FOMO. You're trading FOMO, and there are risks to that. Where are you going to put your stop loss? So let's say you missed this bit of news because you didn't know. Let's say you took one trade here. All right, fair enough. You took one off at around $42. The market's gone through the resistance, so through that previous support. It's now potentially going to rally to $48. I don't disagree with you. I think it could certainly get there, and then 52 would be the top end that I'd be looking at through this bit of news. How are you going to risk adjust for this? Are you going to put your stop underneath here? Are you going to put your stop underneath the gap? Where are you going to put your stop? It's not really TA trading, if you know what I mean. It's more hype FOMO trading. And that is fine. It's a very respectable way of making money, but it is more of a thing that I've seen this year and a little bit of last year than over the previous years before that. But any news announcement, when things happen, they go psycho. Just like with LCID, Lucid Group, you can tell on the left-hand side, it pumps and it dumps and it pumps and it dumps and it's kind of crap. So you've got to have your expectation of big volume came in, it rallied, further hype. Look at these huge volumes coming in. I don't know what it is because I don't know LCID that well, but there's massive amounts of ramp here due to clearly huge amounts of FOMO. Bradley B says, got to be in before the news. Ideally, you are. However, you can see on this situation that on this gap down, it rallied and there was further ramping to be had. Indicators will not help you very much in this either. Solid Snake says, is RSI a good indicator of oversold or overbought? It's an indicator. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. If you can easily tell, Solid Snake, go have a look at rallies, put RSI or any other indicator that you want on the charts and watch what happens over time. And you'll notice it basically goes up and it will sit in overbought territory and the price will continue to go up. When you can disprove an indicator like that, you need to use it for different things. Do we have RSI in our course? Absolutely. Do we like RSI? Absolutely. But there's a time and a place to use it. Darth Vader says it's better on the lower time frames. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to get involved in these types of things, you've got to go onto the lower time frames. You are correct. You've got to go onto your 15 minutes. It's like a scalp. You're basically saying, okay, I'm going to take, a scalp style trade. Let's say here we begin watching LCID after this day. We miss out on a lot of this rally. Let's just say that happened, but there is some precursor things that happen here. You can see it pulls back a little bit to those moving averages. There's probably some 5-minute trades in there. I can't stick on 5 minutes when we're doing these types of videos because it's in and out like that. You know what I mean? You've got to be quick. But yes, you're absolutely correct. If you get through this resistance, then we start seeing that big ramp again. This could be an opportunity where you say, okay, well, this resistance was a big deal. We're through here. I'm going to put my little stop loss under here or wherever I'm going to do it. I'm going to take my order and I'm going to follow it by a moving average. And things like this can be very scary. They're kind of your stop hunts. And you can tell that it's ramped incredibly quickly. So it's run away from the 20 moving average, but it's come back. And now it's trying to bounce again and it's up. It's a different type of trade. PK Subban says, can you take a look at X US Steel? I scaled in at 21. Yeah, we can have a look at United States Steel. 21.90. This had a fall from grace recently with all the steel and all the iron ore companies coming back down. It's around the right zone if you're looking for investment. This is not a trade in itself, in my opinion, mostly because you're just trying to buy a falling knife. But you are on the correct support, absolutely. And hey, I can't talk. I did a very similar thing in iron ore stocks, such as my favorite Rio. Now, I did have another Australian stock I've got to do for someone. Let me just quickly scroll back up here. What was that Australian stock? I did have it. Question. Dave, do you remember what the Australian stock was? CSR. That's the one. Yeah, so Rio was very similar for me. There is investable quality in Rio and BHP. So I like having a little bit of a pickup for investment grade at these types of zones. This is the area we discussed in previous weeks. In fact, last week we discussed this zone and it came down right into the middle point, 37.50, exactly where Tyron and I were talking about it. Why not? We know it's a big average point. We have different plans than what most people have on these types of things. And I think that's ridiculous for an iron ore stock of this quality to be down this much, especially when I expect a bailout from China on the Evergrande situation. We go and have a look at iron ore futures. Actually, rebar futures. 1 second. Is it rebar? Iron ore. And we'll use these ones, futures contracts. Look how low they've gotten. Look at that epic collapse. Now, I wasn't buying much throughout this collapse because I'm waiting for it to, what I think, go extreme. And when it got back down to what I thought was already a fair price, which is about 110 and 100, that level I'm very interested in on longer term. It's just an interesting zone for me. It's something that I look at. And of course, I come from the land of this type of thing. Let's have a look at CSR Limited. Not too bad at all. Certainly a decent kind of pull up. Not sure what price you said you got it at, but yeah, it's decent. Let's go to the weekly. Weekly closed very strong last week. I think that's very nice closure. Unfortunately, you've gone into a little bit of weakness in the market. Not quite high enough. But yeah, this comes through, gets another closure above here. I think you really could be seeing a rally. Very nice. Not bad at all. Disney as well. Yeah, let's have a look at Disney. I saw that fell about 4% yesterday. Right onto the support lines. Disney's probably at a good level for you to look at, though it is like catching a falling knife. If you liked it already, I'm not sure why it dropped so significantly yesterday, but if you liked it already, this is a zone, and I would be looking for some kind of turnaround structure. However, from an investment standpoint, that could be an area you're looking at. If it does end up closing underneath here, bad things will happen to it, though. I would see it back at 155. So Disney gets underneath here. I'm actually talking like 155-ish. And that would be consistent with pretty much no other moving average or anything. Disney has usually held relatively well to its 50. Relatively well. It's on the 50 right now. Oh, it's not bad. But maybe even a 5-minute, 15-minute turnaround, something. You need something. It's right at the right level. Dane J says 99 watching. Let's get to 99 likes, team. Appreciate that, Dane. Disney dropped on CEO saying slower growth than anticipated. Does not surprise me at all, Scott Morgan. I've been talking about it. I do not believe Disney Plus is going to win as much new subscribers as they were. BKNG. Oh, well, we did talk about it getting back down to this level. Yeah, I don't mind it in this area. Let's go to the daily. I would not catch the falling knife. That's just not my style. Unless I like it for investment grade. This is where we expect turnaround story to happen. Lightning bolt, base formation, something to show us turnaround. I tell you what, Scott, you're not having good luck at the moment, are you, man? Oh, no. Oh, no. A few of your stocks going a little bit backwards. This one right here, I don't know what the news was, but I would hope that around this zone, if I had a big button to push over the top, this would be my greeny zone. There's my greeny zone. It starts there and there. And when I draw a greeny zone like this, all I'm looking for is base formation, lightning bolt, some turnaround story in here, and you can then take that one long. That's correct, Darth Vader. We'll have to wait for the next Star Wars TV show. Yeah, absolutely you will. Absolutely you will. One Up says Lucid released its miles per charge, supposed to beat Tesla, and Disney expecting slower subscribers. Yeah, thank you very much, One Up. Lucid's released its miles per charge, supposedly beat Tesla. Yeah. Meh. Sounds like a sugar rush run to me. Hannah, FMG is very similar to the others. How low did FMG end up going? Let's have a look. I never really buy this stuff very often. It's kind of in nowhere land to me. The old Twiggy FMG in the nowhere land, but it is bouncing. Look, if iron ore recovers and BHP Rio recover, it will come up. It will come up. Chris McC. What about MFG on the ASX? Magellan. Oh, wow. How did they stuff up so much? What the? What have Magellan done? This was a pretty good performing fund. I remember this back here. Huh. I actually sold some of it up here, if I remember rightly, for somebody. That is interesting. Yeah, that looks horrible. I don't really buy these funds. But I wouldn't TA a fund like this because, of course, they're invested. I don't know what they're doing. UPST is going to be up. Likely too late to scale in. Yeah, absolutely. You could trade, but very poor investment grade at this point. Very poor investment grade. It will be that type of, big movement up, and then you'll get that pullback. And then, of course, if you like it, I would set out levels that you like, but that's running like an absolute rocket ship. Which time frame? Let's have a look at the 2 hour. Oh yeah, 2 hour 20, something around there. 2 hour, 3 hour 20. It just keeps going. WG says Rio and BHP put accumulation strategy, or is that secret squirrel stuff? Yeah, put accumulation can certainly be used here on something like BHP and Rio. And there are reasons. I mean, BHP in particular or Rio, doesn't really matter. When you're down at these kind of levels, got to be a bit careful about what I say with put accumulations. But basically, the idea is that you're kind of trying to look at selling puts with the idea of most likely getting cleaned, as in you want to buy the stock. And if you sell a put and your IV is very high, so that's implied volatility, you can get some very good returns by potentially holding that put there for a while. Now, remember, you've got to want the stock and you've got to have it there for a long period of time. But yes, I do like to do long dated sold puts sometimes in these kind of areas. It'll all be in the options course. And that certainly is something that if you're interested in finding out more about, I would suggest you go and buy the options course, because the second module is releasing this Friday and it's going to be damn good. Damn good, guys. Pre-market is a snake, pretty much. Hello, Tom. What are your thoughts on AstraZeneca? No real comments. No real comments. But I will say that it's a vaccine. that's kind of questionable here in Australia. Makes me always think CSL. I mean, this is the company that's manufacturing it here. You'll see my TA, which is held up for weeks. I love this stock. Such a beautiful stock. Clem, if you're out there, you know I love this stock. It's so glorious. And it always does me well, the old CSL. It's been doing not much for a long time as well. SLX. I don't really have too much points on AstraZeneca, but I'm not sure if I'd buy it. We'll look at this stock maybe in a second. SLX just kind of looks like it's a falling knife, maybe about 52 for that one. Let's have a look at AstraZeneca Pharma. Is this the right one? AZN. Doesn't really excite me. Doesn't really excite me. Lunch Money wants FDX. Okay, we'll do that. Oh, okay. Yep. FedEx. Quite weak. No turnaround story yet on this one. Yeah, down 5.95% pre. So that's right on support. That's literally smack bang on here. Look for turnarounds here. So I want to see lightning bolt recoveries, anything like that. The sugar rush is over for these guys, hey? It doesn't surprise me. And SLX was an Australian stock, Silex. 275 million. Yeah, not a big fan of that one. So I guess like what we're looking at, why I'm not a fan is because it's just a massive pump and then it seems to be dumping off pretty hard off that base. So this is earnings news. It's coming back down. If you're looking at it, you're looking in this area here and you need to wait for the turnaround story. It can easily just get all the way back down to the base. That's the nature of these ones. So guys, I think today is really again about indices. We're talking about 4,400 on the US 500, a very key zone that we should be looking at. US 100, I think there could be trades here as well if it gets above that 15,180, 70 zone, wherever it is, 80 pretty much. Close above, you're looking for a gap into this zone, this area up here, and you might even like that. And if it does get below the last lows, after the FOMC press conference, expect it to go back to 14.8. So 14.8, 14.5, 14,050. If it gets to 14,050, imprint it in your minds because that's the bottom of our glorious trend line here. I can say that I love this trend line and I would love it to pull back to that area. It would make me so much happier with the market. I'd be really confident that everything is looking great and I'd expect new all-time highs moving forward into the new year. That would be fantastic. I also want to leave everybody with a question today or something that you should always be thinking about. And that is, we'll go over to full screen. And that is that the market, of course, is expected to go up. We've still seen really big bullishness here. I'm pretty sure that China will cover that whole $300 billion worth of crazy debt. And they will look to really place, I guess, an idea of certainty into the market. Now, whether there's a big issues around, absolutely. But it's not in anyone's best interest to let it kind of get destroyed now in the financial system. It will come at a later point. I believe it'll be something around that 2026 and a half, 2028, that area there. Why? Because I do believe that when this whole thing does kind of fall over again, it won't be saved. And unfortunately, it could lead us into bad things. But at this point, I am not unconfident in the market. I'm very confident in the stats. I'm very confident in the ability for the markets to bubble up for quite some time due to cheaper money. US companies being purchased by overseas companies to keep like Swiss francs that have to be converted. You can look up that if you want to. So the statistics don't really lie. Once you've had really strong months, you tend to have further strong months in the markets. Absolutely. Another thing I just want to remind everybody, as I said, if you're interested in the mentoring, we're getting started on that in October. There's 2 slots I've been confirmed that are left. If you're interested in taking them, go and get them. The room is in there. It's got all the information there. And of course, over on fxevolution.com as well, we've just released the options course that's getting sent out. So if you're interested in all of that, you certainly can do it. And there is a bit of a discount if you already own the Ultimate Trading Masterclass. So we're not discounting this course, but there is a discount there if you already own the Ultimate Trading Masterclass. You can select it from the list. Thanks so much, guys. We do appreciate everybody that comes to these webinars. Appreciate 95 of you for sticking with us today. And yeah, it's going to be pretty good, I think, moving forward here. I wonder whether these markets will end up getting these breaks and move up higher. What do you guys think? Give it to me near the end. Bull or bear from the private community? Bull or bear today in the markets? What are you thinking? I would really like for the markets to stay low till the middle of October. That would be sweet. But I only like that because it makes it more delicious that the market keeps going up. Dane J says US dollar pairs are consolidating on lower timeframes. We agree. Trapping traders holding ahead of the FOMC. Be careful if you are holding onto any profits. Yes, the FOMC will push this either way. Expect some volatility coming into the FOMC as well. There might be a little bit of negative sentiment on the markets, and then we will most likely see that initial follow through to crack that dollar index. Remember, long leg doji there on the daily or the 2-day. Hopefully we crack that level. And US 100 and US 500, we should have direction again by tomorrow. But you know what? Every time we get in that direction, it's not long lasting. And that's why we need to be nimble. We need to be quick. And if you're investing, of course, what you're doing is looking for key psychological points for you to invest your hard-earned money into those levels. It's a little bit different. You use TA to find key levels and then you smash it in. Trading is different. You guys seem to say neutral, flat, bull, bear, bull, bear until Friday, and then panic at the disco, says left field. So many different opinions. That's what makes the market great. Thanks so much, guys. We'll catch you next week or in about half an hour. Bye for now on the other channel.